All right, welcome back. This is episode number 36 of Difficult Podcasters. I'm Randomly Ronnie Jr. That is Kelly. Oh, I realized, Kelly, when Jerry O'Connell had a talk show, he didn't
Uh-huh.
go by Jerry O'Connell like we know him from.
Uh-huh.
He did like you, which is Kelly O, is essentially your stage name these days.
Yep, it sure is. It's always been like the only nickname anyone's really ever given me aside from my sister. She gave me a different one, but
Oh,
but
and that's we can't mention that today.
well, it's just silly. When she was little, she couldn't say Kelly, but for some reason it was easier for her to say Keiki. So that's what she always called me.
Oh. We have a family friend, and I think I'm the only person who still uses it just because I had heard of it, and I was like, "That's so amazing."
Mhm.
So the youngest couldn't pronounce one of the older sisters' name, which was Adrian, and so she would call Adrian E. And to this
Oh.
day, I'm like the only person. Like I'll call Adrian, our family friend. I'll be like E, like as if I'm a child. Um, I've often said that I have an older spirit. Like even when I was younger, I was always like the kid who
Mhm.
hated cartoons. I always was like 8, 9, 10 years old. Like, can I watch 30 something? But there is a part of me that has a younger personality as well. Are you like that too? What side do you stand on? Are you like kind of young spirited, an old soul?
I think I'm a little bit of both. Sometimes it just kind of depends. But I mean, I did love to watch cartoons, but I also liked to watch like the Golden Girls when I was young. So and like soap
Oh, the
operas with
Golden Girls.
especially
Who?
Spanish soap operas with my grandma. We used to watch like this one Mexican soap opera that I loved, and it really got me better at being conversational with speaking Spanish because I understand it so much more than I can actually carry on a conversation. But when I was watching this show, I would like rush home after school to watch this one show with her. And Mexican soap operas usually only last like so long, and then they're done, and a whole nother story starts over. But that one was like the best. It was crazy, and everybody's like murdering people, and there's cheating, and then somebody has like a surprise twin or like crazy stuff. I loved it.
I mean, that sounds about what a novella does sound like. I also don't know Spanish, but you probably understand it maybe a little bit more than I do. It's also within practice, when you're at a younger
Yeah.
stage, there's just different people you're around and you'll utilize it more. But I haven't had to really pull from that too much lately. But it
Mhm.
doesn't mean it isn't something that I wouldn't want to. I always have this dream, and this is for other stuff too, where like I could work on a project where I have to move somewhere else where I would be dependent on Spanish speaking
Oh yeah.
for like 8 months or something. But it would be like a work project. But I think that for
Mhm.
other stuff too. I'm also like, can I work in Paris for 7 months?
Learn
So
French, yeah.
yeah, so it's not just a Spanish thing, but it's like a wanting to not necessarily commit to a move because I've moved so much. New York is
Right.
always my baby.
Uh-huh.
I'm the Californian who loves New York, but I'm like, I don't want to commit to like a big move, but a move that feels where you could learn some culture and the language and the food.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm sad that my Spanish has kind of been lacking. I need to get back into it, especially because, it's Hispanic Heritage Month right now.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
we've been like highlighting some really cool, Hispanic women in culture. And I really love that and getting back into the history of it and just kind of like our culture and learning where, we come from. And the person that we highlighted today, her name was Aurora Reyes Flores, and she was the first woman muralist in Mexico in
Mm.
like the early 1900s. So it's amazing. Like she paved the way for a lot of artists and painting and stuff. And my grandmother was named Aurora, and my we've carried on that name with my niece. Her middle name is Aurora, so it's kind of fun to do a
I
little play on
definitely
that.
think Aurora is a beautiful name. That's
Yeah.
first. It's a beautiful
Hmm.
name. And going off that too, for me, the job that I worked, and I've told you about this, and I think we've mentioned on the show too, I used to be a segment producer for American Latino TV and
Hmm.
Latin Nation, and covering all these influential and inspiring stories across the whole diaspora was to me one of those things where it's like, you love who you are, of course, but it's also like, there's parts of you that are like, gosh, I wish Spanish would have trickled down to me, and it necessarily
Yeah.
didn't within my family. I have an aunt who she went to school, still alive. She went to school and she spoke Spanish as her first language, but at the time it was sort of, at least in California, it was sort of not, nobody really went for that at the time.
My
Assimilation
mom was the same
was
way. She
was
got in trouble
oh,
for
really,
it. Yeah,
really,
that's why
okay.
she never taught us Spanish,
Mm.
because they would literally get the ruler out and spank the kids on the hand if they spoke Spanish. And Spanish
a,
was my mom's first language.
a
It's
lot of people don't
crazy.
realize that there's a movie called The Walkout
Oh
that sort
yeah.
of
My aunt
explains a
was
lot of
like
that.
part of that in Texas when she was in high school.
Really? I'm gonna have
Hmm.
to rewatch it, and it explains a lot of that too, because sometimes people
Yeah.
really just don't get it. That complex nature of the story, what we just
Yeah.
stated, and but going off like what I was saying is what I think is beautiful is you being able to do that for the work and the products that you're working on, and then for me, like saying, wow, I spent 10 years like making sure that my job was doing an interview with whoever was the subject, an hour interview, and cutting that down to the 3 best minutes and telling these wonderful enriched stories, at American Latino TV. Sadly, I don't work with them now after the pandemic. Like the budgets always get cut, but
Yeah.
I do plan to go back, because now, of course, me even having my own YouTube channel, I plan to like do it on my own too, when the budget could be correct and I could do it
Yeah.
precise.
I think that'd
I
be
don't want to do
fantastic.
it where it's not perfect.
No, yeah, but it's just such a cool thing to dig back into the culture. I mean, I'm Polish and Mexican. My dad is Polish and my mom is Mexican. So my dad passed away when I was really really young, so I don't know much about the Polish culture. I know that it's very similar from what I hear to like Hispanics, as far as like large families and like the different things that they do with their dances and like different stuff. And I've always been really curious about it. And I went to Poland for the first time. My mom and I went a couple years ago, and I was trying to like Rosetta Stone some Polish so I could like at least try to be cool and say a few things. And that is such a hard language to learn. Like the
Wow.
words are very rough. It's a lot like in the vein of like Russian and Ukrainian and all of that. So it's like the words are harsher and a lot harder to say than like the Spanish word. So it's just very different. But it was so interesting. It was beautiful. I loved it. It was
I
so much
mean,
fun.
that's the key. We are sometimes not, we don't get a chance to really travel. And it
Hmm.
is important to do that and see so much of the world. So I'm going to, in the vein of Kelly's shirt, I'm going to manifest that we could take difficult podcasters on the road
Yes,
and see some of the sites. Kelly's traveled a lot for work, but not necessarily for leisure. I'll tell you what,
right.
one great thing is if difficult podcasters got to that point, we could do a live remote somewheres and we could
I
choose anywhere in
mean,
the world. Why not go to these places
why not?
and experience? That's what it's all about. Real quickly, I just wanted to let you know some of the new things that we had. Our YouTube channel, we have our new TikTok and all that, YouTube shorts. Kelly is really on me to do this. And I gotta say, Kelly, the real problem is when you do it, they don't really let you have too many choices as far as the thumbnail. And so
Right.
because my face is a little more round than I would like it to be, I
Hmm.
feel like I'll have like the whole thing will be, recorded nicely. And then it'll be the one shot where I just look awful. And I just am like, I look at yours and I'm like, but Kelly looks pretty on every one of them. So Kelly is our TikTok
I
queen.
have to go through like pick your cover like super slow so I can find like that right one, because when I'm talking, I talk a lot with my hands and I make a lot of different facial expressions. So the stills always, as you know, you pull a lot of my very silly, awful stills.
Do I? I've never seen a shocking picture of Kelly or what's going on? Oh no, it's almost Halloween. Shout out to our Audible, Apple and Spotify, or wherever you're listening. And if you're not checking it on YouTube, we really do have the most fun on the YouTube. It just is what it is.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, thank you for listening.
Yeah. But no, I loved talking about culture and kind of, being in a good relationship with yourself and, it kind of, segues into how you are in relationships with other people.
Oh,
And
are you ready to get started? Can I say before we get, she's ready. Kelly is ready. All right, before we get started, I wanted to say thank you to Viridian Row. Creativity never goes out of style. We like to support small businesses. More than that, go to viridianrow.com because you're going to be able to support women in a small business section as well. If you want to support me, it's patreon.com/randomlyRJ Jr. and difficultpodcasters.com is where everything is all together and sort of links out to all of our work. Let me show you, Kelly, and then you could start what you're saying about relationships. I wanted to show you some of the products that Viridian Row has. I mean, and they're always updating anything from the quote t-shirts. Of course, we covered Hulu's Difficult People. So there's a Hulu Difficult People inspired quote t-shirt. I think it's something along the lines of our lives are miserable and it's the world's fault. I mean, they just got a lot to choose from. So support them, because while we're on our, I think, 36th episode, ViridianRow.com has been supporting us the whole time, which is pretty cool. Kellie, back to you. Take it away. What do you want to talk about?
So I really want to talk about this subject that I find very interesting. I don't know if you will, but I was watching your favorite talk show recently, the Drew Barrymore show, which I love Drew Barrymore. I mean, her talk show can be a little like much, but I genuinely have always admired her and truly adore her. And I'm sad that she's one of the only celebrities that I really like that I never got to personally meet. So that's a bummer. But she had her ex-boyfriend on the show on the season premiere of her new season, and it was Justin Long. And I just loved their interaction, and I love the friendship that they've been able to maintain after they, had a pretty public relationship, and they broke up a couple times, got back together, but the genuine affection that they have for one another still, I really admire that, and I respect so much that they can be quote unquote grown up about it and still be able to be friends. Because like, as she says in the show, it's like, where does your friendship go just because you break up? Like, why do you have to not be friends? At one point, there was so much love and all of this in a relationship. Why does it have to just abruptly end?
And you like that.
I do like, I mean, I understand there are situations where you can't, depending upon what happens and, all this stuff. But I think that, sometimes relationships just simply don't work. It could be timing. It could just be, personalities that don't mesh, but maybe you're just better friends. I mean, I have an ex of mine that we were just like really good friends, and we had such a fun relationship. We did a lot of fun stuff. Like, we went skydiving, we went to football games. Like, we did stuff like that. We had a very active relationship, but it just didn't work out. But we're still
did he
friends.
Did he start as your friend before you started dating?
No.
Okay, so in that case, and again, you're drawing from experiences. My experiences are more of lust than love. So I just, but the concept is just interesting to me. I remember watching this one TV show. It's called Looking, and it was with Jonathan Groff, and his character was dating a guy named Richie, and he was like really trying to be Richie's friend, and Richie was like, "Wait, you want to be friends now that we're broken up?" And then he was like, "Yeah," and I think we can be great friends, like what you're saying. And Richie said, and I'll never forget this, Richie was like, but we were never friends to begin with. So I think I will say, and again, this is my limited to Kellie's vast experience. If you started off as friends and then crossed over, I think, yes, I would feel a little sense of like, I want that friendship back. But you didn't start off as friends. I don't know. It seems like I don't disagree with you and your experience.
But we became friends. Like, and I don't, and I guess I haven't been in a relationship with someone where we didn't become friends. And maybe it's because I'm such a guy's girl. Like, I'm just like, I'll go watch football. I'll sit and like hang out, like I'll do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I do have that side of me. I mean, I have a very, I want to go to fancy places, and I, bougie about my alcohol and like whatever. But I also have like, we can go sit at a backyard barbecue, play horseshoes, and just like hang out. Like, I do have that.
But you wouldn't be any like interest, like you don't get the worry that like, okay, now I'm around this person again. I did used to love them. The timing feels right again, but we're just friends. Like, you don't have any interest, because to me,
well, because we're not like, wait, okay, let me back up.
Am I making it only about sex?
You are making it, but I'm not talking about that. Like, I'm talking about, we're not like besties. We don't talk every day. We don't talk every month. We don't talk every week. We're friendly, I guess I should say. Like, there are things you still want to share about certain aspects of life. You check in every now and then when something big happens, and you know that this person like champions you and has always been somebody that you could that would get it. Then you could still have that person to go to and be like, oh my God, I thought about you when this happened because I know you would get it. Or like something like that, where it's not about getting back together. It's not about lingering stuff, because sometimes in a relationship, it just simply doesn't work out, and you just know it. You want different things in life. Doesn't matter how many times you try to fix it, you're not going to fix it. but why can't you hold on to what you can keep and can have and be respectful of each other and just be friendly? You don't have to be besties.
You make good points, but if I may, wasn't your friendship only a friendship based on the love aspect of it? Like
I
were
don't.
are you sure that you were actually, that's why I asked you earlier, I was like, is this
Mhm,
somebody you were a friend with first and then all of a sudden, because you hear stories like that, people were friends for 10 years and then, oh wow, they started like hooking up.
mhm.
That I can see, like, oh man, now I've lost my friend. But if you were
Right.
never friends, all those skydivings and cooking and cutesy moments, wasn't that just somewhat of a navigation to get the booty? Like, it just, I mean,
I mean, in one aspect, I'm sure it was, but we could have also done those things with our friends, with other people. But it's like it's the person you chose to do that with. Like you know, I'd always wanted to go skydiving. Like for years and years, it was on my bucket list, and I could never either get anybody to do it, or nobody was ever interested, or there wasn't somebody where I was like, oh my god, I know that I could like appreciate this experience with you. But then you know, we had talked about it once, and then like out of the blue, it's like, let's go do it. And we have that we did together, which is cool. But it's not so much like, I mean, I guess it's just you
you're
have
saying
to
like
be able to,
peaceful, like just
yeah.
friendly. Now, does this mean you can, just a question,
Mhm.
does this mean, because you're bringing up points, but does this mean you can be involved with somebody else and they could be involved with somebody else? Like, where does that fit into the equation?
I mean, that's where it gets a little tricky, I guess. But I mean, essentially you can, because you have already set these boundaries. You know that you know, you're not looking to get back together. That's not the point of your communication, right? That's just not on the table anymore. And
Yeah.
so, but no, I mean, I don't think it's something that like I said, you're not talking every day. You're not like, hey, how's your day? Good morning, good night. Like not by any means any of that. But it's like, every now and then, oh, I'm looking to change jobs. I know you're really good at this. Hey, can I pick your brain about something? You know what I'm saying?
Well, it definitely sounds complicated, but then also my question is like, people don't even do that with well, I guess friendship is not as tight as a relationship, but like
Mm-hmm.
how many people you were so close with as a friend level, you
Mm-hmm.
let them, once they're out of your life, it's like fall to the dirt,
But I
like
guess it also depends on what happened to end the friendship. Because as you
oh right.
know,
Oof.
I've had some like wild ass friendships that have ended on some crazy. I mean, we can get into those like later,
Classless.
but like
I know,
very
I know
crazy,
the
crazy shit.
stories. Yeah, yeah.
Which they have reached out to me, and I'm just like, there's no coming back from what you did. Like, there just isn't. But when you have such an amicable breakup, the way that apparently, I mean, whatever Justin and Drew's like issue was, they seem to be able to have gotten over it and have been able to move past it and just understand that while it didn't work for us, I still love and appreciate you. And I just want to see you do well. I want to see you in a good relationship. I want to see you excel and flourish in your life. And I just want to champion you to be the best you can be. Like, I just find that so endearing. I like that idea, because why do we have to hate everybody?
Well, I'm with
Woo!
you. And with well,
Well,
apparently
apparently.
the universe does not agree. No, I'm with you in the kumbaya, like, but I just feel like it seems like a really hard navigation. You know what I mean? And
Mhm,
then the biggest thing is like, were we actually friends, or were we just doing these fun things because we were in love? And so if we're
mhm,
not in love, like, what business do we have being friends? And then the complications between bringing in, you're dating someone now, he's dating somebody now. But
right.
I'm not saying it can't happen. You do
Mhm,
prove so many great points. It just, my instinct is like like for me, I'm not necessarily that horny of a person, but at the same time, I'm seasonally horny, by the way.
gotcha, gotcha.
I have
Mhm,
peaks and valleys, but
mhm.
like, I'm like, if I go, hang uh with that old thing, I might want that old thing back. Like, how do you control yourself, Kelly? Let's say you
Well,
go back.
because
Good question.
yeah, no, it's a great question.
you
I
like you go back and you just have
Mhm,
friendly time. You said not friends, not all the
mhm.
time, but friendly time. You don't think you run the risk of developing feelings again?
Oh, of course. But I guess like so like the example, I mean, I'm friendly with like a couple of people that I've dated that we've like stayed friendly, and when big things happen in our lives, we congratulate each other and like whatever, but it doesn't really like, you know, go bigger than that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, one of my exes, we dated for, you know, maybe like 2.5 years maybe. And but like 12 years ago. So we were both like pretty young and just at different, you know, different parts of life, and, you know, whatever, he's moved on, I've, you know, moved on, and, you know, things are cool. But every now and then we'll just like chit chat and catch up. But we're not like hanging out. We're not going to see each other. We're not, you know, like he lives in a different state. We're not making plans to like go on trips and kick it, because we're not friends that way. It's just like, I guess it's just like a catch up. Like, I appreciated you being in my life. There are certain aspects that, you know, things I knew I could talk to you about, and, you know, it's nice to just kind of catch up and see how you're doing.
I wish you could put a time limit on this concept. No, not what you're saying. Sorry, but a time limit on it, meaning like you can see the person and be friendly with them, like you said, but then it doesn't carry over into like the, you know, texting and stuff like that. Because that's where I feel like you would develop feelings again, possibly.
Well, yeah, you definitely have to make sure that you're in the, and it can get muddy, and it can get,
it sounded like I said a time limit on the topic. No, a time limit on like you'll go see them for a dinner. That's like a one-off situation. We had a great 2 hours, have a nice life. But like it gets complicated now because you can't break up like we, you know, in the old days, you know, we went to high school before social media. You break up and you never see the person. Well, you're in high school, but you get what I'm saying.
No,
now
totally,
you break up and you get the feeds coming right to you, like, you know, who they're boning. Like it gets difficult.
Yeah, so you definitely have to protect yourself and really kind of, I guess you have to really kind of soul search and see, you know, is there anything lingering there? Or, you know, maybe it's a situation where we probably shouldn't have dated. We probably should have just been friends. And then maybe we could have actually been better friends. But, you know, but feelings, you know, do get weird. And, you know, and especially, you know, when you're doing so many involved things, and when you know, meet families and do all that stuff. So it does get muddy. It can get complicated. I just don't think it's impossible. I like the idea of it. I love the notion. I love that people can kind of put the little petty bullshit aside and say, you know what, for this period of time in my life, you know, you were such a big part of it. I appreciate you for that. I want you to know that. And just because it didn't work out doesn't mean I have to hate you. Like,
are you generally a person who loves that nostalgia, like who want like when you think of like, I want to go back to a high school reunion, or I want to go back to have dinner with a, you know, a couple of friends from an old job, like, do you like going back to yesteryear? I feel like I might not be as nostalgic in that way. I always tell my mother, like, yeah, go ahead and throw away my yearbooks. Like, I just don't like, I want to kind of I want to build today on. I don't really, there's certain parts where I don't want to go back, you know, class of 98. I can remember, it's all in the brain. Like I could remember everything. I don't need,
it's not like, I don't want to go back and be any of those people that I was trying to figure out who to be growing. Like, I don't want to go back to be to anything that happened before. Like, I don't look at it to like, I want to go back to it. I look at it as like, I guess,
you don't want no tension.
Like reevaluating things and trying to figure out, more so getting to know me and why I might have done things that I did, or reacted to certain situations the way that I did. Or,
I think there was a reality show like that where they had people go back to their exes, and the ex was supposed to provide to them what they did wrong so that they could go forward. It's kind of like what you're saying.
I mean, I'm not trying to have like okay, tell me everything you hated about our relationship and why we broke up. Like, I'm not trying to do all that, but it's just like I said, I don't know. I like I said, I like the idea of going back to people that were important in your life and saying, you know, I appreciate whatever our relationship was. It's not just throwaway. I just really like the notion of respecting the people that are in your life, respecting the relationships that you've had along the way. And not everything has to be about sex. Not everything has to be ugly. Like, it doesn't.
Shame on you. How dare her?
It doesn't have to be that. And I just thought that their little reunion was so endearing and just kind of so hopeful. I just really liked it. I like, you know, he's in a new relationship. They talk about it. You know, she even says, you know, thank you to her for being so gracious of not, you know, being crazy about you coming here and us doing this. You know, it's just,
I don't
it
know
just
if I,
seems like such a mature way to be. And I like
yeah,
it.
I don't
I
know if,
like it. I don't know.
I don't know if,
Maybe people out there like think I'm full of shit. I don't know, but I like it.
oh no, they're probably on your side. And I'm not against you. I'm just like saying like,
No, but
hmm.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy
And
and
it
you
was,
can't do it with everyone, but I think there are certain people in your life that, like stick around and even like non-relationship people. I mean, I have friends that I've known since elementary school that I still talk to. Like people that I went to high school with that are some of my closest friends. I mean, teenage friends that I still have and keep up with and all of that. So, I mean, it just goes through all the different relationships I guess you have in your life, but it doesn't always have to be about sex. And it's like, just because I still want to be friends doesn't mean I want to bang.
Kellie wants to be mature.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
Yeah, it does.
I'm in my early 40s. I'm reflecting on life. I'm trying to
Mm,
just and you see so much in the news and you see so much everywhere where so many people are depressed and it's a real thing and they're ending their lives and they're not communicating their feelings and it's a really sad thing. And I want everybody that's a part of my life and that's been a part of it to know how much I truly appreciate them, good or bad, on how they helped me get to the next place.
well, next up on the Drew Barrymore show, we're gonna hold hands and feel good. No, it made for a dynamic television moment, a little sappy for me. I love more
Mhm.
flirty energy than I like romance sometimes.
Yeah.
The problem I maybe would have had was like if he's in a new relationship and then it's like, I think what was the quote here? I mean that. I will always love you. Let me be the girlfriend backstage. You always love her. Like, I just can't get with that public, I'll always love you, even if it's a good like TV moment. Like, you're with me now. Don't tell any woman
But there are
like
so many different kinds of love, you know?
sorry, I got in the mind of the girlfriend. I got pissed right there. I
No,
was like,
but and I hear that. And I probably would. I mean, I'm not saying like I'm immune to those kind of feelings too. I mean, if it was my boyfriend, I'd be like, what the fuck? But
I think
again,
you're
you
getting
have
into
to
your
try to be, you know, I guess more understand, but it's also that's an insecurity. So that's an insecurity, a personal one. So if you can feel secure in your relationships because someone cares about someone else, like why does that have to be bad? But it's all human nature shit, and it's just people's behaviors and reactions to things are very interesting to me. And, I've also dated people that hate the fact that I have male friends, hate it, always give me shit about it. And it always has to be sexual. It always has to be this and that. And it's not all the time. Sometimes it's just not. And it doesn't always have to be. And I would love to be in a world where it's not just this or that. Like there's a
mm.
lot of gray area and stuff.
Yeah, it's the insecurity. You're right. Like even if I put myself in Justin Long's girlfriend's shoes, I was like, "Don't you embarrass me!" But that is something that like and that is something from within. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking from like just turning 42. You're
Mm.
saying you're in your 40s. These development changes start happening where you're like, I put a lot of tightness on so much that I have to do in my day-to-day life. You're saying I want to woo-saw the situation and just be chill about it. Like I can see what you're
Yeah, like
saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I don't want to hold on to any negativity. I don't, because even with the same with one of my girlfriends that we were friends for such a long time, and it's that crazy story that about. Like she just really, did some crazy things to just
Mm-mm.
betray that friendship in a way that I I, I don't understand it. I don't understand where that came from. The behavior, like whatever, and it's hard to go back to that. But I appreciate the friendship that we had before. But then you look back at what she ended up doing, and it's like, was any of that shit even real? And it's just there's like so many,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's so many levels, there's so many layers to friendships and relationships and all of this stuff. So when you can get to a point where you just cut the shit and you're like, look, I did this, you did this, I'm sorry, I appreciate everything about you, it doesn't mean I don't, like, I respect you as a person, I want to see you do well in life, and I hope that we can just stay on friendly terms. Like we don't have to talk every day and be like besties, but can't we just like, and as she says, can't we just champion each other? Just, I'll just be in the background, like cheering you on to do well in life because why not? I mean, I picked you, so I have good taste, so I want you to do well, right?
It feels like more to the discussion, like we'd have to dip around because it just seemed like so shocking. But you when you watched the Drew Barrymore premiere, which is a shock in itself that she got another season, miracles happen. But you genuinely, not even like as we were doing the show, this was a genuine like reaction you had. Like you really were like, I kind of feel that. So if anything, Drew Barrymore shockingly has evoked emotion.
I mean, no, she told, because I'm usually a bitter bitch, but it really did.
we both are.
Did. But like I said, it also could be more so emotional for me because I am in this point in life where I am doing a lot of reflecting, a lot of looking back at just kind of the person that I have become over the years and the ways that I've changed and the ways I've allowed other people's behavior to to influence my behavior in ways I didn't always like, and just all that stuff. So it's just, it's a lot of thinking back and forth and being able to say, because, no matter what happens in your relationship, there's, when you break up, it's somebody's fault, right? Somebody did something to somebody that they didn't like and like whatever. But wouldn't it be kind of interesting if you could really, instead of like being like, F you and I hate you and you're horrible, you
that's
could
a
just sit down and say,
that's protecting yourself when you push it out like that. F you, you're kind of like opening your heart a little bit. I think it's just so much easier to be like, get him out of here.
Yeah. But it's also, what if you could sit and say, this is what hurt me. This is what I didn't appreciate. And the other person can say, well, their side of it. And you look at it and you're like, oh, well, I didn't even think about it that way. And I'm sorry. Now go on and be happy.
Well, this was the most mature in 36 episodes we have ever been. I couldn't even throw in a joke like, well, maybe we'll get in a throuple. Like you're just been so serious, But I appreciate the genuineness because this was something that did naturally outside of us doing a podcast. Like you did care about this. We talked about this, and I was like, oh wow, how interesting for Kelly to take that emotion from it. Goes to show Drew Barrymore. I guess she deserves a second, or what is it, third season now? Unbelievable.
Well, but she also has had like her ex-husband Tom Green on the show. Like she keeps these relationships, and maybe it's like because she was so alone growing up, she basically parented herself. So all the relationships that she had were so important to her that she's made it a point to try to keep them, even when they didn't necessarily work out the way that she thought that they might. It's just very interesting. And, if I wasn't doing this kind of stuff, I would have, I love like psychology and just human behavior and why, people do the things that they do. And I guess that's why it's so interesting to me overall. But I mean, early on, I was a person that never thought closure was a thing. Like, who gives a shit? If it's over, it's over. Like, whatever, move on, right? You just have to close yourself off. You ice everybody out and you're done with it, right? Just condemn and move on. But the first time it ever happened that I ran into an old boyfriend very unexpectedly that had cheated, and it was a whole like mess. And he finally like explained to me like his side of it, because it was such a convoluted story that I just sat there and thought about it. I mean, everything was still wrong. There's nothing to make right, but it was just interesting to get the other perspective of it and just to get an apology that I never even realized that I needed.
Because you were iced out. Yeah.
Because I just iced it out and I just took off and was like, whatever. I'm just going to pretend I don't care. And then you keep
taking
pretending you don't care, and then eventually you don't care, right?
Yeah, that's the easy part. To not care. Yeah, for sure.
Because it's always easier to be mad than it is to be sad.
Yeah, I still don't love this whole thing, but I'm hearing a lot of your points. That's like a fair.
I know. I appreciate. And
I'm younger than you, just barely.
Yeah.
And so maybe as I climb into my 40-year-old,
as you get into my maturity,
yeah, I might be like, let's look at life differently, and which actually happens a little
when you climb up that hill that I'm almost at the top of.
It's like, is it worth it to hold all this aggravation inside, because it's inside you a little bit too. Anyways, now we sound like therapists, but
no, and I'm not trying to. I just, like I said, I loved everything about that, and the fact that they were able to hold on to the good parts of their relationship and build this kind of caring friendship or whatever it is, where they just are cheerleaders for each other. I really like that. I do. I found out recently that, an ex of mine like has a new girlfriend, and it just like, I don't like it. I mean, we've been broken up forever, but I don't like it. Like, I don't, I want to be mad about it. I want to be ugly about it. And I want to do all the immature things that, I'm saying not to, not that I shouldn't do, but that's the initial reaction, right? It's like, that's just what's coming out because of the way that our relationship ended and all the things that happened and whatever. So I just want to be really kind of crazy about it. And I have been a little bit crazy about it, and I have to kind of rein it in and just really try to, be happy. And, because it's not like he did anything wrong. We've been together for a long time, but it's just,
Yeah, I get worried that like your concept of maturity sometimes could get can sometimes why so funny? Why so funny? I get worried that your concept of maturity can allow the other person to sort of have a pass where in their actions and their errors. One time I was at a therapy session and the lady, I was explaining to her some of the things that like upset me or whatever, and she didn't take a nanosecond on like the issues and how I could relate to the issues or how I felt about the issues. She like literally cut me off and was like, well, how do you, the only option you have in this is not to change them. And I was like, I wasn't saying to change them, but I'm saying, she was like, it's all about how you react. And I was like, so I'm doing all the work and I'm giving you, like, I want to at least be, this is what I'm saying, I want to be at least able to give the other parties the judgments, not saying it's like feeding my soul negatively, but to wash it off and be like, oh, kumbaya, I'm just going to do all the work. That's the part of the maturity I just don't think I have right now, Kelly.
No, totally. And Sandra Bullock was on another talk show, Kelly Clarkson's talk show.
The talk show episode, yes.
And she made a very interesting point. And she said that she was holding on to some stuff and she got some of the best advice she'd ever been given. And I'm probably going to quote it wrong because I wasn't prepared to talk about it. But she said, basically, you have to give yourself permission to just forgive for whatever, because the person that hurts you doesn't care. They don't care how they hurt you. They don't care that they hurt you. So why give them all the power of you continuing to be miserable about it? You just have to just give yourself permission to forgive for it and let it go, because the other person just basically doesn't give a shit, but they're holding all this power over you. So why let that happen?
Well, see, that's what the therapy lady said.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ain't no one holding no damn power, but I don't want to just release like you. I
hear you.
No, but nobody's holding power over me because I have an opinion of these whack ass actions. You know what I mean?
But
oh my gosh, I can't do this.
I don't, but that's what I'm saying. That's why relationships are so interesting, because there's so many facets. There's so many different layers, and there's so many different things. And especially when you come in contact with someone that's so much like you and you're just this all the time, where you're, like there, this one, like I've never screamed and been so passionately either in love or angry at anyone the way that I was with this person.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was extreme from one level to the other. And it's just this, whatever we had with each other, that's just what would bring it out. And it was just not okay. And it's not okay. Like it doesn't work. There's some deep rooted and very real heavy feelings that are both very positive, but also very negative. So there's no happy medium there. And it could never, like, it's never going to go anywhere positive for either one of us, because we'll kill each other. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. And for the record, my recollection of this, what I was stating of the therapy wasn't a relationship thing. It was a family thing, which gets more complex, or not more complex, but equally complex.
But still, it's relationships with people.
Well, people you have to sort of, like there's no clean break. Like it's whatever. But I was just saying the notion where she had said the exact same thing you said Sandra Bullock said. Well, they don't care otherwise, and why would you hold attention? Let them hold power. Nobody's holding power off me on me if I'm angry. Like I feel very good in my angry spaces. I really do. I feel like it's actually the opposite. And we'll table this, I think, soon. But I think the opposite. I think when you don't, like, if somebody does something just stupid, you want me to just grab that from my soul and let it be. That to me feels more tense. That actually feels Like you are dismissing it, you're not owning it, you're not feeling it. What
Mhm.
doesn't hurt me is getting it out of my, like, you know, call Kelly, I'm real sad, I'm real mad. Getting it
Mhm.
out of your system, count on your good friends,
Mhm.
and that feels okay. So the notion that, and I love therapy, I do, but the therapeutic notion that like they're holding power over you, kiss my ass. You better start listening. That is what therapy's for.
But
Whew.
I'm very much on your side about it. I think that's kind of like the issue with this other relationship that I was talking about that was, just kind of intense, was because I am very much a person that I want, you got to get the point. You need to understand what I'm saying to you. Like everything is a reaction of an action, right? But it can't just be, you can't be the only one that's allowed to react. And that's just the way that I've been seeing it. But then from his point of view, it's the opposite, right? So it's
Mhm.
just constant this, and it's just like really like getting at each other because I want you to see my point, but I want you to see my point, and nobody sees anybody's point. We're just screaming at each other. And it's just like, it's insane. But I am so much that person that's like, no, I need you to take responsibility. I need you to hear me. I will own up to my shit, but I need you to do yours. And then it's like, and then you get like the sarcastic shit that it's like, okay, fine, it's all my fault. And then that just
Makes you upset you
infuriates
even
me.
liked him to begin with. Yeah.
It just
Like
infuriates
who
me
were
more.
you? Who were you
But
this
then
whole
it's
time?
like, but when that stuff's not happening, because again, I think that's a defense mechanism and it's like a bunch of insecurities and all this stuff. But then when they're, when neither one of you are being like that, it's like such a great thing. So how does it, like, how do you, I don't know, like, how does it go from that to that? Like,
Well,
I don't
damn,
know.
we're 40 minutes into
I
this
know,
conversation.
I
We may
know.
have to
Like,
bring it back up
like,
because,
right,
you know,
well,
you make points were made and everyone's going to have a different viewpoint. Some people are like,
Mm.
once they're out of my life, out of my life. Other people
Totally.
do want to keep old
Mhm.
memories close. And that's maybe why it is what it is. Drew Barrymore, fascinating always because it is just remarkable. She has a talk show. I got to take a breath. Whew. Uh,
I know it's
um,
very it's very intense when you talk about relationships and human behavior and all these different things, and especially when stuff is fresh and and like with the person I was telling you about that we dated like 12 years ago, we weren't friends immediately after. Like
mhm.
it took a good chunk of years before we even became friendly. So there was a kind of like a cooling off period where you just kind of stay away from each other and like whatever, and then you randomly run into each other or whatever, and then you just decide I'm not going to hate you, I don't think, or whatever.
Very mature. Kelly is grown in our 36 episodes. Two things we do differently. We give ourselves hiatuses all the time. And we're maybe more mature. I don't know.
On
Um,
certain aspects, sometimes I go back 10 steps and act like a crazy person.
yeah,
So, it's always a work in progress. You're never done working on yourself, right?
absolutely.
So,
Things that excite me going forward, and we could dip back into that topic anytime. You know what I mean? Like different
mhm.
facets of it. One thing I'm excited about is Billy Eichner's Bros is coming out very soon, and I
Yes.
wanted to tell everybody, if you're catching us now or whatever, and just kind of learning about the show. Difficult Podcasters, we started by recapping Hulu's Difficult People, which stars Julie Klausner and Billy Eichner. Such a great show on Hulu. Not everyone saw it. It was kind of like it had a large following, but it wasn't, it was just like a certain group that really enjoyed it. And we thought it was so funny. So if you want to look at our episode by episode, there's 28 episode recap. Go to difficultpodcasters.com. We got a brand new YouTube channel. And then in that YouTube channel, we also have interviews with Shakina and Julie Klausner, of course, from the series. I just thought that was important to bring up too, as we get excited for Billy Eichner's Bros.
I know.
Real quickly, we're going to talk about Adam Levine. Kelly's got some thoughts. But I wanted to just do a little breakdown because we're talking about talk shows in general.
Hmm.
I wanted to break down the new talk shows that are out this year and kind of say what I thought of them, or Kelly, if you've seen them. Jennifer Hudson has a new talk show. We've got Sherry Shepherd kind of stepping into the Wendy Williams time slot, but like being her own show, and just get an opinion of what you thought of them, or have you got to see some of these new talk shows.
I have heard about them. I have not personally got to see them, and I also heard that Kelly Clarkson has taken over Ellen's time slot.
That
So
might be true, and she was doing really good.
yeah, yeah.
Her last season,
Uh-huh.
Kelly, it was.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested to see Jennifer Hudson's show. I just want to see how she interacts because I like her as a person. So anything I've seen her in, so I definitely want to check hers out.
Oh, you
and
like
kind
her
of see-
person, but you think she's
like
got a
her
personality.
Like,
Oh, wow.
I
Just the mature over here. This is who she is.
just in my, from my, in when I've seen her like out and like, whatever. I'm interested to see where she takes it and kind of her approach.
Okay, so the first thing I will say is I've been actually calling into a New York City radio station. The great Miss Jones is back on the radio. Jonesy in the morning, 94.7 The Block. And I've been kind of, doing a little bit of a report on how Sherri Shepherd and Jennifer Hudson are doing. Go to my Instagram, RandomlyRJ, or only Jonesy Official, if you want to hear some of these clips. There's some really funny clips. And we're just having fun, Kelly. We're just really taking some light jabs at just the fact that maybe Sherri Shepherd doesn't have it, maybe Jennifer Hudson doesn't have it. And I think the one thing that makes me say, is what do we need to keep giving celebrities talk shows? Like, it's like that whole thing. It's like, oh, well, let's do Cocktails with Chloe, and it's going to generate all this fan base because she's a huge social media star, but no one wants to watch her sit and talk. You see what I'm saying? If they like her or not, they don't want to see her talk. And it makes me think of the old days when we had Donahue, Sally Jesse Raphael, and I'm like, those were people that came from a space of, broadcast, and like they developed a show that was around topics or whatever, and still personality driven and celebrity driven and all that.
But it was mainly real people. A lot of the guests they had were, just regular people for different things.
But they were still better talk show hosts, is what I'm saying. My problem, so on each of them. So for Sherri Shepherd, the problem, and you may not think this is a problem, she has the feel good show, feel good, have a great time show, the let's have a good time, real good time show. It's just too much like faux, like today's gonna be great, like is what Sherri Shepherd's giving. And now Jennifer Hudson, I think she does not have the art of the interview. She kind of asks a question and then they answer, and then the first thing she does is say the exact thing they just said. So like she'll be like, oh, when did you first fall in love with Cookie, to Magic Johnson, and Magic Johnson will say, oh, it was at Michigan State, in 19 whatever. And the only thing Jennifer Hudson will contribute is Michigan State, 1977. Can you believe that? That's all she ever says. Like she doesn't really like pick up. And the thing is, like, Magic Johnson was on the show and said, wow, Jennifer Hudson, you really have it. And I'm like, Magic, you couldn't even host a talk show. We've not forgot. We have not forgot.
But also from behind the scenes stuff, you got to remember too, like it could be people telling her, not really letting her kind of like come out of her own yet. So maybe let's give it a minute and see if she's able to kind of like grow.
I'm just saying, we have talk shows that came out like Anderson Cooper, cut right away. Katie Couric, cut right away. Meredith Vieira, cut right away. Queen Latifah, I think, got 2 seasons. Tony Danza,
her show.
I did too.
I was so disappointed that got cut.
The only reason I wasn't really disappointed is because she went on to do a show called Star on Fox. That was so good. It was like
even that other show she's doing on CBS. Love it.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that makes me like, oh, damn, I wish the Queen Latifah show was still on. But then at the same time, like, her acting is also very good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, like for the new fall lineup, I get so into talk shows. You've heard me talk about it's like my dream job, And when I look at like the great Rosie O'Donnell, like that show was a good show years ago. But I don't know.
Ricky Lake, I loved Ricky Lake.
Well, Ricky Lake went on the Sherri show and said, Sherri, you're doing such a good job. And in my mind, Ricky, why are you lying to this woman? Sherri's a flat earther. She believes the earth is flat. So she can't be having that good of a time. Let's have a real good time, feel good time. Not when you think the earth is flat. No. But anyways, I have been sharing a lot of these comments on Jonesy in the Morning, 94.7 The Block. It's been such a fun experience. So I just call into the show and Jonesy and I bounce off each other in terms of like, what do we think of Jennifer Hudson, Effie, the Effie show, from Dreamgirls, and does she have it or not? Sometimes constructive criticism feels
Well,
good.
I'm definitely gonna have to watch an actual episode so then I can come with like a legit opinion because I have not seen one. So I
Well, you
can't
better hurry
really
because
say.
they may both be
I know.
canceled.
I'm gonna have to get. I'm gonna have to watch. I'm gonna have to watch one immediately.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Sherri Shepherd fan. Like even when she was on other shows, just not really my favorite. When she was on ensemble stuff, she wasn't really like. Not really like. I guess I really don't have an opinion either way. But I'm not like, oh, I want to see her do something.
Yeah.
Like,
and we're not knocking it. It's just we're doing talk show breakdown. We're talking about Drew Barrymore. I always really love the art of a talk show. We make the joke of how on Hulu's Difficult People, Julie had said, "Oh, Johnny Carson would be rolling in his grave if he saw that Jimmy Fallon did Pin the Tail on the Donkey on the Tonight Show, yesterday." It's just saying like the art of a talk show to me, I really love it. And what they're doing, the newer talk shows to me, I don't know what they're doing, these silly games and this have a real good time, feel good time. It's just like, I want connection. You know what I mean? It doesn't, you don't want when they interview talent for it to be the press release show where it's just like, okay, what does the guest have to promote? And then there's just a host just kind of like extracting that. You want a conversation. And so I feel like we're not really getting that.
Well, see, that's what we got from Drew and Justin. We got like legit conversation in that whole clip.
Kelly loves her some. I mean, you love some Drew Barrymore.
No, I genuinely do, but I can't sit and watch her like a whole thing of her show because it is like way too much sunshine for me, and I think I'm a little bit too much of a cynical person to take it all in one sitting. So I have to break that.
I need my talk show.
But I do love her.
I need my talk show to have peaks and valleys. That's all I'm saying. I feel like.
But I like Kelly Clarkson's show. I think she did well.
I had said that, and for whoever thought, oh wow, Kelly Clarkson, so let's just do another American Idol, and this one's an EGOT, which is really, I mean, so proud of Jennifer Hudson for being an EGOT.
Absolutely.
However, good thing she already has an Emmy because she will never win an Emmy for this talk show. So good thing she's covered.
Let's see.
And we are just me, Ronnie, I am only being critical because I love the art of talk show. It's always been a dream of mine to have one of my own. And I don't want to say I welcome negative critique on what I do, but I think over the years, I've been around a lot of people in my radio career or even when we podcast who will audit or air check our work. And that's what's always made you better. So mind you, I'm not just throwing in jabs. I'm not talking about anyone's looks, any of that. I'm talking about the things that I think are missing. Sherri, you had Nicole Scherzinger on there. It was the press release interview. Maybe we could get a little bit more personality. Maybe we don't just ping pong, just like what was on the press release.
Don't read the cue cards. Like give it some, give it something, give it some depth.
And this is constructive. So just before anyone's like, well, wait, Ronnie didn't like Drew Barrymore. The Drew Barrymore show. Ronnie didn't like Jennifer Hudson's show. Sherri Shepherd.
Ronnie doesn't like anybody.
What does he like? And it's just not the case. It's that I love talk show, the art form of it, in such a high regard. I say I've been on live television with the IFB monitor on Fuse TV, with the teleprompter and everything, and it is the funnest experience. I love it so much that I'll never not continue to believe that I can earn a talk show. Am I at my best now? No, there's like a lot, there's outside elements. You do what you do, but I love it so much. I'm gonna always push for it. And so when it comes to talking about talk shows, I feel like I'm doing a disservice if I just water it down. Oh, Sherri tried hard.
All right, well, I'm gonna watch an episode each of those two shows, and we'll come back and revisit this, and I'll give you like a legit critique from my
opinion. And the hard thing about talk shows these days is they got to talk about hot topics. The hottest of topics, I mean, you reacted to this. And this will wrap our show shortly. The hottest of topics is Adam Levine. Kelly, take it away. What are you thinking?
He's a cheater. Like he's like
say it again.
He's a cheater. That's like all there is.
But how do you know for sure?
Because he cheated. He cheated. Now, okay, so a few other celebrities have kind of like jumped in on this after he made his statement. Some are condemning the woman, some are condemning only him. But I think my opinion on this, and this is one thing, like as a publicist, I always hated, was, his statement is totally written by his publicist for sure, and it's stupid. One thing I do agree with one celebrity that said, I think it was like, I can't remember who said it, but it was like, don't speak for, because he says, he kind of like speaks for his wife. And she's like, don't speak for her. Like, you've already done enough. And I do agree with that. He shouldn't have said this we shit. We'll get through this together. Like, that's the most bullshit statement anybody can say, because it's it's very disrespectful to her what he was doing. It's very embarrassing. Like, it's just all of these things. At the end of the day, it's not her fault. He's it's his shit, right? He needs whatever he needs for whatever reason he's doing that. But own it. Don't say I didn't cheat, but I was inappropriate. No, you cheated.
Well, wait. So what is he saying?
He's saying that he just like got a little bit inappropriate with some DMs, but he didn't.
Well, what is she saying? What is the the woman
accuser's basically, her response to that was like, get a dictionary. Basically, the definition of cheat.
So like, she's saying, cheated. Yes, you did. We did have sex. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's really been said like that. But she's like shown some DMs she talked about on her TikTok and said that they've been having whatever kind of relationship they've been having for a year. Like, if you're talking flirty to someone else and you're married, like, that's whether it's emotional cheating or physical cheating, whatever, it's cheating. You're still stepping out.
Can I ask a question?
Cut it out.
A tough one. Does the person who redeemed the cheating, did they not know he was married?
No, they knew.
So that's a problem in itself too.
Not the
only problem, but a problem.
But it's not the only problem, and that's the thing. Is because then someone's like, "Well, you knew he was married. You knew what you were doing, and you're putting it on blast." I don't like the whole putting it on blast. Like,
me neither.
There could have been a private conversation. She could have went about it in a whole different way. She said
now she's famous. She'll have a talk show by next year.
Right. She said she only did that because she screenshotted it and one of her friends was trying to sell it to a tablet. Like, whatever. Who cares?
Oh,
at the end of the day,
the old my friend send it in.
My friend said
the old my mom send in the sex tape. Kris Jenner got it
right, but it's just, I just feel like it's so disrespectful to the marriage, to the relationship from both of their like equally. They're both at fault. Like, she knew he was married. He knew he was married. So whatever either one of them were doing was not okay. So it's a choice, right? So you could make the choice and say, okay, I'm not married. I'm single. Whatever he decides to do in his life is his choice, because that doesn't have anything to do with me. And on the one hand, it honestly doesn't. Like, I'm a single person over here. I know what your situation is, so I know how much I'm going to expect from you. But also, that's your shit. That's not my shit.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So if you don't know, if you're the guy or the person in the relationship, they're the ones ultimately.
They're the ones ultimately,
I wouldn't want to do it if it was me and I found out like the person was married. I wouldn't want to engage in that. But ultimately, it's like, why are they engaging in that? They're the one married. I'm single. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many different ways to look at it, but at the end of the day, it's two people that are equally at fault. You equally, it takes two people to do all of it, and two people did it, but it's not only her fault and it's not only his fault. Like, I don't agree she should have put it out to the public, because clearly she's getting some gain from it. But it's also like, he needs to man up and just be like, I fucked up and I'm sorry. But
is there anything he could say that would make you feel that way? Like, completely, like,
if he just said, yes, I cheated, I was inappropriate, and I'm sorry. Like, you have
and he hasn't done that.
No, he literally said, I did not cheat.
What would happen? He's not on The View anymore. The View. He was never on The View. He's not on The Voice anymore.
The Voice now.
What would happen if this scandal happened when he was on The Voice? Like, how would they have cleaned this up?
I don't know. I wonder if they would have done the same thing that they did to Matthew Morrison when he was on that dance show.
And I didn't get all the details, so I probably shouldn't speak on that. But that one's a hard one to sort of believe, but again, the pendulum was so terrible.
When you're gonna cheat, like, why are you writing shit down? Why are you writing? Why are you sending messages? Why are you typing it out, you dumbass? Like, clearly, you're not the sharpest tool in the shed. Like, why are you gonna do some dirt and then write it down? Like, that's that's the dumbest shit. Then you deserve what you got. If you're going to be stupid enough to write it down, you deserve what you get. You shouldn't do it in the first place. But if you're going to be that stupid to do that, and that's what you're going to do, then you deserve what you get.
Kelly, if everything ends up in cheating, do you think we as humans need to look into being more open with like open relationships and stuff?
that's a tough one.
Gay
Because
men are a little more like open to stuff like that.
yeah.
And I always think like if I mean I'm not married, nor do I have any candidates ready, even though I'm a catch. No, but I always think about like certain like boundaries that I, are like the hard nose. And I mean, I'm not saying I would like that, but men are men. And I know that's like kind of a terrible excuse, but actually I don't even think of it as men are men. I think of it as, well, I'm not dating women, but women are women, meaning we're human to the degree of this stuff happens. To me, my boundary would be like all the stuff that I don't know. You know what I mean? Like all the secrecy and that kind of stuff. But the actual physical cheating and if it did just legitimately sort of just happen, I just feel like you could maybe get through that. And you're saying
But
no.
Here's the thing. Cheating doesn't just happen. Nothing just happens.
You don't think so?
I don't believe anything just happens. I believe everything that you do, like,
you think everything's like a Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton planned out situation.
I just think you put yourself in certain situations knowing all the possible outcomes, and yet you still do it, right? So there's a chance some shit could happen, and you're obviously okay with it because you're still doing it. When you open up that DM and you send that message, you know what the fuck you're doing. It didn't just happen. So if I'm dating somebody and I'm bored or whatever's happening in my relationship and I figure I want to go, I don't do this and I wouldn't do this, but it's like, instead of having communication being like, look, something's happening with us. My eyes are starting to wander. I don't want to do that. We need to figure out what the fuck's going on. Instead of doing that, and then I just like go to the bar, get trashed, knowing that, making out's fun when you're drunk. I put myself in that situation. So it didn't just happen. See what I'm saying? Like nothing.
I do, but I think you're making it as if the person could only cheat based on the nucleus of the couple having problems. I'm saying I think
just if they want to have sex. Like if they're just
I'm thinking it could be I love my baby, I love my boo, we are good, but then I happen to be in an occasion that's not like a bar situation, like being in the wrong place, wrong time. But I do just have like this physical thing, and
right,
yes,
again, that doesn't just happen because that you have that. You have that wandering eye that you want to be able to. If you find someone attractive, you want to see where that goes. You already know that.
But don't we all have that wandering eye? Okay, but let me just give you the perspective. For me, I was as much what you're saying my whole life, and there's something about like, so you come out, and suddenly that whole white picket fence, 2 kids, like La La Land thing that is sold to you is obsolete because that's not your life anymore, right? You're like, you grew up as a child, you're like, I'm gonna have 2 kids and a stupid car garage and all that dumb stuff that I see as dumb now, but I felt like it was necessary when I was young, the wife and all these things. And then you get to a point, you come out, like that all shatters, and then you're left with like a little bit more authenticity. And I'm not saying by any means the straights are not doing it authentically. I'm saying I also was very much like you, like nobody better ever cheat on me. But now I'm like, humans are humans. Again, women too.
I do not disagree with you. The only thing I disagree with is if that is the kind of lifestyle that you want to have, to each his own. If you want to have open relationships and people that have open marriages and people that have the don't ask, don't tell, but I'm going off by myself tonight situation, as long as both sides are cool with it, do whatever you want.
I don't think I would want. Wait, I don't want you to think me saying I would accept a one-time error means I'm like saying, oh yeah, I'm down for the open. I'm saying no, we're getting married. We're in love.
You wouldn't then. So when it comes to that, I'm just saying be honest. That's my thing.
So my honesty is this. My preference is monogamy. I'm a lovey person. Sade's Your Love is King is going to be the wedding song, right? So I'm very much in that space. But I'm saying, however, I don't know that I'm willing to throw it all away because his dick ended up somewhere where it shouldn't have been. And that doesn't make me a punk either because, by the way, I might do that too.
I mean, I don't think it does either. I think as long as there's like genuine communication, but you have to own what you did. Like, how can you forgive and get past if you're still lying about it? How can you forgive somebody for something when they're not even owning it up? Because you don't know you can't forgive somebody for something that they swear they didn't do. how is that building back trust or even showing you that they care? Because they really don't give a shit because they're still lying to you. So it's like, it's the respect of the partner that I guess is what's annoying to me. It's just like, whatever you're going to do, own it. Just own it.
As I said,
things
the
can
secrecy,
happen and
the
like whatever.
secrecy, I'm not good at.
The
I'm not
lying
good.
and the hiding and like
I'm
all
not
that
good with
that's
that.
kind of. But also, if you, as grown-ups, if you just want to date and you want to see where life takes you, then date. Don't get into an exclusive relationship when you're not ready to get into one. It's just like, you can't put somebody in your pocket because you're afraid they're gonna meet somebody else before you're ready. That's not fair. Like, you gotta risk it.
The Queen has spoken. Not Queen Elizabeth, but the Kellie the Queen. Boy, you had some stuff to say today.
Clearly, I got some shit on my mind, guys. Clearly.
I'm just going to take notes. Like, whenever we do an episode that has to do with like the ways of dating, the trials of dating, the goods, the bad, maturity, like Kellie is on it.
Oh my God. Let me wait till we get into some of like the worst dates I've ever been on. Like the just kind of like the bad behavior, the silly, the photo shoots I got sent, like all like, I got some stories for you.
And for the record, if you're joining the show, if you hear me pumping up my friend, one of my best friends, dearest friends since 2003, and I'm like, that's right, Kellie could get it. Da 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 da. Not for me. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Kellie could, Kellie's got game, because we've been friends forever. I know the stories. I'm pumping my friend and proud of my friend. But see, sometimes I think people look at it almost like, oh, this chauvinistic man is like telling this woman. It's like, no, we are friends. We talk about everything. I've seen the condom wrappers, the magnums. Kellie is it. She's iconic. And you got to let us have our friendship. And I just sometimes worry that people look at it as like, there's the man mansplaining the woman. No, not with this.
No.
Not a 20-year friendship.
Like, when you're early in your 20s and you're just freaking wilding out and you're sharing it with your friends.
Next year marks 20 years of us knowing each other. And it's not just me and Kellie are friends. We have tons of mutual friends too. Yeah. We all work together in our early 20s. So it's just, so when we started in radio, and we'll wrap right here, I was more like, what can I do to get my radio show and my late night talk show one day? That was me going to the same facility in Burbank, trying to make a career and dreams happen. Meanwhile, Kellie was doing all the work, but she was also working it. Because later on, I'd hear her stories, because we are good friends, and I'm not naming any names. And I'm like, Kellie, you did. Kellie, no. Oh, Kellie, wow.
I had a period where I had a little bit too much fun for a while.
I was like, what that mouth do, girl? Like, I was so proud of you. As a friend, I was proud of you. Yeah. You know what? F you if you don't like our show. We're amazing. I want us to replace whichever gets canceled first, Jennifer Hudson or Sherri Shepherd. I want us to be the replacement.
Oh my God,
mid-season replacement. Let's go.
Hilarious.
This was fun. We gotta go.
Yes,
and we'll be back soon enough to do another episode. Yay! Hiatus or not.
We'll see when we can get back.
We'll give you a show when we damn well please. Kellie, it's been an honor as always. Yes, I really had fun. So and I'll talk to you next time.
Yes, bye.
Oh, actually say something else, because I'm not prepared. So give me one more sentence. I'm actually not prepared to end the show. Oh, look, now we got to.
Oh, there you go. Everybody go visit ViridianRoad.com. Check it out. Woman-owned, sister-owned. Supports our podcast, has some really cute, fun stuff. And you know what? We'll make you breakup line t-shirts too if you want. I mean, we're gonna start our own difficult podcasters line of relationship stuff.
Yo, what is wrong with me? I wasn't even ready to end the show, and I'm like, bye, I'll see you later. I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm just sick of it all. I just want to go to sleep. Kellie, I'll talk to your ass later. Bye.